How y'all doing? Hey, notice the mask's up. I'm in my office. By the way, you probably didn't realize I actually have an office. I know that's hard to believe anybody would give me an office, but I got one. But I got two very serious conversations I want to have with you today. One being, remember, by the time you hear this or view it, we will have gone through July 4th weekend. It is probably the biggest weekend as far as interaction that we have to deal with in the future. The biggest weekend, or that we've had to deal with since this all started. The first 3-4 days, we have to drop back to ground zero. Ground zero being everybody. When you're within 6 feet, you're within a cow's length away, you have to do some sort of protection. And again, the mask is the root. We wear the mask. Everybody's been with people outside our small circles. You gotta emphasize the mask. Anytime you're within 6 feet of your co-workers, get that mask on. Now, a couple other things. I mentioned the health survey. Remember, check your temperatures. We do them here. Check your temperatures at home before you come in. We should be checking temperatures. We should be surveying everybody for the next week as they come on the site. We do not want to have a breakout and all of a sudden have to shut everything down. If you got thermometers, shooters, if you've got those, use them. Check everybody else's temperature. Make sure we're okay. The other piece, and we got some here from Mitchell's. Of course, I've been promoting the hell out of the use of Smuggler's Notch vodka. No, not vodka! I've been promoting the hell out of Smuggler's Notch sanitizer. I would have some sanitizer. Everybody, sanitize the hell out of everything over the next week. And again, don't be afraid of Lysol wipes, any type of antibacterial wipes. Let's not worry about it. But whether you're using a simple face mask or one of the ones that the gator type, get those masks out and get them on. At a minimum for the next week, we need to be able to, again, comprehend what we're doing and keep everybody safe. We don't need a breakout. I told you there were two things I wanted to talk to you about today. COVID was one. The second one that's very important is we have seen, since we've been back to work, approximately 30 Osha inspections on our job sites. 30 Osha inspections, 10 companies being cited, and not just being cited, but being cited, if you understand what I'm saying. Average ticket out there that is standing, even after negotiation, even after everything, is sitting at around $5,000 or $6,000 per ticket. They are writing an average of 3 tickets per visit. So again, it is part of planning. We should have a plan in place on how to handle an OSHA inspection. The top things they're looking for right now, and that we're seeing them look for right now, is silica. Look and see if we have silica. Of course, we've got these masks, but they aren't N95s. So make sure you have a silica plan and some type of respiratory protection, or following table 1. Fall protection. Number 2, fall protection. Anytime I'm more than 6 feet off the ground, I better have fall protection in place. Scaffolding. Doing a scaffold check every day to make sure that scaffold is checked and in place properly. And then secondly, making sure I have a competent person overseeing both the erection and dismantling of that scaffolding. Then I've got excavations, trenching, trench boxes in place, having a ladder at 4 feet. If you're more than 4 feet, you got to have a ladder. If you're 5 feet or there's a danger of collapse, we should have a trench box in place. And then we start to get into the MWAPs, the mobile elevated work platforms, the ladders, and the HAZCOM. But right now, the lead on this is that silica piece, the fall protection piece, the scaffolding piece, and the excavation piece. Make sure and have yourself covered there. Now I want to talk to you about an Osha inspection real fast. We should be taking some notes. We should have a format to take these notes. And I'm going to ask Matt after I'm done to put this document I have in front of me on our website so you can download it. You should have a list of things or protocols that you follow for every OSHA inspection out there. When the OSHA guy shows up, you should pull this piece of paper out and start filling it in. What you should really want is you want the general information. What's the date? Who's the compliance officer's name and his contact information? And then, what is the purpose of the inspection? Is it a C target? Has it been deemed necessary by the federal government? Is it a random, where they driving down the road, they saw somebody running willy-nilly around a roof with no fall protection? Or was it a complaint? And again, if it's a complaint, you have a right to know what is the complaint. So keep that in mind. During this opening conference, record on your piece of paper who's attending the conference, the reason for this inspection, and any other opening conference notes. I'm the guy that'll tell you I would be happy to throw on the table a HAZCOM program, a safety and health program, and any other sort of paper that he'd like to see. Generally, they're looking for those two, HAZCOM and your safety and health plan. Also, if we're doing fall protection or an excavation, they may want your fall protection plan, or they may want to see your trenching reports. Any records that your compliance officer asks for, make a note that they asked for them. If you can't produce them immediately, get them to them. But let's keep track of what he's asking for. And then let's move on to a walk around. Never go on a walk around alone. Always have somebody with you. 2 people do the walk around at a minimum with the compliance officer. One of you should definitely have a notepad and should definitely have a camera to take pictures, record whatever you want to record, and document any statements that are being made, good or bad. Let's keep a record of that. And if he takes or she takes pictures, let's make sure we take pictures too. I want pictures from a different angle. I want to see things a little different than the OSHA guy is seeing them. I want to know the people that were interviewed throughout this thing. If they ask to interview some employees, good. We got nothing to hide. But let's know who they're interviewing and the purpose of that interview. Should you debrief your employees afterwards? Probably find out what was going on, what was said, and how it was said. But again, we got nothing to hide. And don't try to hide anything. But just make sure we open up lines of communication with those employees. I would want to know if we interviewed supervisors. I would want to know what was the result of this walk around, because it's going to be a couple weeks before we do a closing conference. So I want to put all my ducks in a row, and I want to have everything sitting there so that we can review that and we can make sure we have a positive outcome to this inspection. If there are changes, if there are things that he says we should be changing, then immediately as quick as possible. Make those changes so that we don't have to deal with it later. Let's document that we made those changes, and again, write them down inside this form. It's all right here for you, and I believe that at any given time, we should be able to reference any and all interviews or any and all conversations through a list of notes, and we'll be able to reference those back. When you're done, you're done, you're done. The OSHA guy will leave, and then they'll request a closing conference. Your closing conference, let's record who's at it, what standards they're thinking of citing, and then what your feeling is about the closing conference. I'll tell you, I have some companies that record the closing conferences, some companies that don't. I think it's a smarter move to record whatever you can record. Videotape, put on your phone recorder, whatnot. Let's not get upset. Let's not argue. Let's just make this thing go and go as smoothly as possible with some sort of documentation for the future. So we'll have this out on our site. Again, I thank the people at the law firm of Sherman and Howard for providing us with a nice little synopsis, employer guide to OSHA inspection and how to actually handle them and what you should be doing. Know your rights and what to expect before, during, and after OSHA arrives. So I would keep that in mind. I told you earlier, it's silica right now, fall protection, scaffolding, and trenching. And just remember that if you have any of those projects going on, you have exposure. I'm going to remind you, the next 3 or 4 days, starting on Monday, that week, to me it's next week, but for this week right here is going to be one of our scariest weeks when it comes to COVID. Make sure everybody on site has a mask. Make sure they're using them. Make sure we maintain that 6 feet of separation. If you can't do that, get your masks up. Get your masks up when you're within 6 feet of anybody else. Use your hand sanitizer as much as possible, keeping everything clean and well sanitized, and then again, wipe your equipment down, particularly after somebody else has used it. Above all, please limit your outside exposure. Let's not be stopping at Cumbies, at Champlain Farms, at these places. Stay away from those friggin' coffee pumps. Pack your coffee, bring it in a thermos. Limit your exposure. Let's try to keep this thing in a nutshell. Let's not get shut down. So I'm going to ask you, my name's Richard Wobby. I'm with the Associated General Contractors of Vermont. If you have any questions, give me a call. 802-223-2374. Give me a call, and let's not let our guard down, and let's keep our masks up. No guard down. Keep your mask up. Let's have a good week at work, and I look forward to talking to you again the end of the week. Thank you all for attending. Bye.